All right, here we are. First video of the week. I have been recording for a month straight, every single day, just kind of tracking my work as a designer, and it's going pretty well. But I have a backlog of footage that at this point I don't feel like editing. And so while I've developed this system for, documenting what my day-to-day looks like, we had a busy month. So I'm starting with a brand new fresh video today. And the goal this week is to edit the video as I am recording it throughout the day. It doesn't have to be fully polished, as in like all of the music and completely refined, but I want to have all of the footage from the day that I'm working on dropped in by the end of the day or the next morning. I feel like that's just going to help keep a steady pace with these videos, and it's not going to put so much emphasis on it being perfect so much as it just being done, and what I have in that day is what I have in that day. I also think it's going to help with like how I structure the narrative of the week. I'll know ahead of time what I need to record to, show what I'm talking about more efficiently. So I'll be talking ahead. We'll be showing screen recordings from the laptop. We'll be showing me working at my desk, but generally this is going to be more of a work from home vlog and less of a me out and about in the world vlog. I'm also thinking this is so much less of a tutorial than just following like what my design thinking process is as I'm moving from being squarely in the design category to, the design engineer, software development side of things. So we're just tracking my progress as I upskill throughout the weeks, and I hope that you learn something from it as well. I'm gonna make a coffee now. Literally just put that in wet shit immediately. Okay, put that in wet shit. Let's make a coffee. I don't even like coffee, but I need it because I have a baby now. Hello, Panda. What's up, dude? What's Mama doing? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Hey, everyone. Dada is recording a work from home vlog today. Well, I'm going to do it all week and see how I feel about it. We're going to share our projects. We're going to share our progress on our corporate work a little bit, and we are going to build something new. How's that sound? Fun?
No.
All right, that's a vibe. Move to the basement stew. This is my humble little office area since we had a baby. I had to move out of my office down here into the basement, and I've slowly been turning it into an actual usable space. Before it was a mess down here, spiders, dirty, all the things. It's still a little raw. This definitely isn't the polished, I live in LA and I have a beautiful brick wall anymore. Well, I guess I still have brick walls, but a little bit less aesthetic these days. Yeah, this is my life now. As you can see, I have a family. Family life comes with interruptions, and that's something that I'm going to be showing as well. I've been watching a lot of designer developer day in the lifestyle videos, and it's a type of video that I really enjoy watching, but often they don't really show what it's actually like working as a designer and what you have to do to maintain your skill set, especially when you're moving into the more technical world. Things are changing so quickly in this industry that it really has to be a part of your lifestyle to know what the latest tools are, know what the latest processes are, and to make sure that you're not falling behind. We are going to be tracking as we level up in skills, as we develop new tools that help with our efficiency, as we onboard existing tools that we find, and I'm going to share that all with you along the way. Most of the corporate work that I do is going to be in Figma. It's very design heavy. I'm a staff UI UX designer, so that's my bread and butter. I also manage our corporate design system at a really high level. I'm currently updating all of our design system docs. When you're building out a design system, that really helps you understand all of the minutia of how these apps and websites are built and how you do that at scale for a corporation. So I feel like that's going to be really great context as I rebuild out a templated white labeled design system. Tied into my corporate work are some of the efficiency tools that I work on. I always like to have a side project going that is focused on kind of automating a part of my process as a designer. And hopefully as I build and launch some of those tools, you'll be able to use them and they will be helpful for you as well. I already have one widget online called Aninote. It's in Figma. You can download it now and use it to track your animation notes. It's about to hit 10,000 users, so go and try that out and let me know if it's helpful for your process. I have a new version coming along for that I'm hoping to be in a good place by the time that Aninote does hit 10,000 users. And last but not least, I have this video work. I used to shoot more for my corporate job, doing interview and smaller run and gun productions, but these days it's strictly design work. But in my personal life, I try my best to document these moments that I get to share with my family and friends. So I will be showing you my process for that as well, coloring footage. That's definitely on the side quest, just for fun side of things, but I have developed a kind of fun process and I have access to incredible tools that I've built up over my career. So it'll be really fun to show you what it looks like when I'm working on videos as well. For my corporate work today, I have one real small design task. I have to create a new page template for one of the businesses that I support, and I have to present that at 2 p.m. So I'm going to get to that. A little post-meeting end of the day wrap up. The main time-sensitive tasks that I had for today knocked it out. That's what the meeting was about, a new page template, and it's really straightforward, simple, no feedback on the actual template, but we did run into an issue with the timeline. We have a code freeze going on for a pretty significant marquee event that we have for our corporation, but this new page does revolve around a campaign specific to that event, so I'm imagining that leadership is going to approve, expediting this build, so it's actually going to make this ticket more urgent. We're going to consider it checked off though, because on the design side of things, the design is approved and complete. So checking off that ticket. So let's go over the rest of my outstanding corporate work. I have some pretty significant design work for one of the websites that I support. It's touching on a few of the different pages, and one of the pages is the home page and the hero section. That is the most significant real estate on the website that I'm touching, so I want to make sure that I bake in enough time and enough buffer to really dig into that. The updates to the homepage, which I'm pretty sure are going to consist of significant changes to the styling, need to then be worked into some of the subpages. So I'm going to consider those tasks kind of married together, and I'm going to work on them at the same time. I already have an internal meeting standing to review those designs in 2 weeks, so I do feel like that's a pretty good runway to have something to review. It doesn't need to be complete for the internal meeting, but I think that it needs to be in a good enough state to, 1, show off the new functionality that was requested from the business, and 2, it just needs to look a little bit better because it is such, like I said, valuable real estate. Those are the main time-sensitive tasks that I have for my corporate work. Very design heavy, going to be spending a lot of time doing inspiration gathering and actually building out those designs in Figma. Maybe we'll even get into a little bit of prototyping before our first meeting. But in the background, I am always working on documentation and design system management. Currently, I am building out a brand new documentation system. I am leveraging the Astro framework and their documentation theme called Starlight, but I've already started building out a lot of unique components, so I think I am eventually going to migrate away from that Starlight theme and have it be a completely unique custom Astro build. So I have side quests for PopMelt, which PopMelt you'll be hearing a lot about is the business that I run with my business partner Rebecca, and that is just a brand that we've coined for all of the kind of productivity tools that we build and little ideas for digital products that we come up with. We are currently working on a new tool which is an evolution of Aninote. This new tool is a web animation builder and manager. I've been working with GSAP a lot, which is a custom animation framework, and I've noticed that integrating GSAP into those low-code tools like Webflow is a really powerful experience, but just like Webflow's native animations, when you are building a really complex interactive site, it gets hard to kind of manage where those animations run within the timeline and structure of your web page. So the goal is to build out a tool that makes that process of working with first GSAP a little bit easier, just writing tweens for animations and building out timelines, and then also managing those animations after you create them. And while currently we're building it out specific to the GSAP syntax, hopefully in the future it will be able to build and run as native web animations. So that's the main side quest that I'm working on that you're probably going to get the most updates about. I think that the documentation system, I'm probably going to start working on that for the tool, so you will be seeing me build out documentation in the context of a new product that I'm working on. And then also in my personal life, we are just working on balance across the board. So that means nutrition, health, family. I will keep you updated on all of those things as we strive to become a better human during our glow up year. So I'm glad that I got a second to give you the full rundown on what we currently have going on and what we're looking forward to in the next few weeks. I need to run to the grocery store. I did not even eat lunch today. So speaking of being healthier and fixing our nutrition, I am already failing on that front. I am out. Peace. I'm going to eat something. Maybe we'll spend a little bit of time with family before we pick up things again later in the evening. All right, later, dudes. I'm just chipping away at this documentation work. I am making good progress on a few of the components. I thought that I had closed the loop on the color component, but I realized that there's another instance of how we display colors. There are primitive global tokens, and then there are semantic aliased tokens. So that's what I am working on currently in the docs project. All right, what do we have going on today? Footage is dumped, successful. Oh, I'm gonna drink this. Okay, footage is dumped. I didn't do it last night. I actually did it this morning, and I think that is the better workflow for, having a consistent edit. At night, I have a much more limited capacity for what I'm able to accomplish, and I think sometimes I overplan or I don't account for how much energy I'm using during the day. So at nighttime, I don't think I can reliably dump all of the footage. Morning time is the new time for dumping footage, and that can become a new habit that I develop. Will probably turn into a kind of meditative thing. Have a little bit of coffee, make sure first thing in the day, upload all of the footage to my hard drive so that I can work on it throughout the day or later on in the evenings. That brings me to storage, media storage. So just to get into the nerdy details of this, capturing a lot more footage raises the cost of media or storage. That means hard drives, SSDs to work from that actually read and write quickly. If you're working with cameras that are capturing more data, then that means that the files are going to be larger. Something that you don't account for when you start doing something like this. But when you're in the middle of a project, you have things like this pop up. Like, where am I going to put all the footage and how am I going to manage it? Okay, so let's talk corporate work. On Wednesdays, I have a standing meeting with my team, project managers, other designers, and developers, and we talk about the projects that we have currently in queue, and we just make sure that all of our projects and tasks are on track. So I have that meeting on Wednesday. That means typically on Tuesdays, I try to make it a full working day without any meetings or only really high priority meetings so that I can just focus on being in a good place for my Wednesday meeting. I'm thankfully in a place where I've built a lot of trust with my team members. So we only have meetings when they are important, which is, that's a really great privilege sometimes. So I'm usually able to focus on my design work or tasks who are actually pushing the projects forward with time spent doing the thing that I am hired to do, instead of just sitting in meetings all day. So I do have two really big design related tasks coming up, the homepage hero and then making sure that those styles are applied into some of the sub pages. So I think that's what I need to block out most of today to focus on, and I need to put the docs on hold again. I'm just really motivated by this documentation project. I love working with the Astro framework. It's super fun, and I'm kind of just like in a developer mode these past few weeks. So it's going to be, not the easiest switch over mentally to get into design mode, but it's something that I need to do for my job. But just to tie things up nicely and feel like I have a nice conclusion on the docs project for now, I am going to do a little project demo for you and show you what the current state of things are. Later on tonight, I have a pop melt meeting with Rebecca, and we are going to talk about the animation tool that we are working on. We're really focused on process at this point, and we just opened up a new project in Linear. Linear is what we are using for project management. I'm loving it. Super sleek. The workflow is awesome. I've actually integrated it for all of for managing my corporate work on my own personal side, and then also some of these video projects. So I'm loving Linear as a tool. But in the meantime, let's do a quick product demo over where I'm at with the Docs project, wrap that up, and then jump into design mode. I'm currently loving this framework Astro, which markets itself as, a web framework for content-driven websites. So they position themselves for building out mostly like blog style websites where you're managing a lot of content, but it's much more powerful than that. Let's take a look at the docs and just see how we organize some things like component structure. So while you can use vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to create native Astro components, you can then take those components and import them into a page. So you end up building out components scoped in themselves and then using them like Legos to drag and drop into your pages. It's similar to React or other JavaScript style frameworks, but Astro is unique in that it doesn't ship any JavaScript and it's highly optimized. You can also import other frameworks like React into your project, and they call them islands. So on one page, you could have a navigation that is a native Astro component, and then you could also have a React component embedded into that page, and all of it will work together. Aside from being an awesome framework that solves a lot of the problems that you get when working with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, Astro has also provided a tool that I am probably going to be using every single day now, and that is this Starlight Docs template. They provide a lot of components that you're going to need out of the box for building out documentation such as tabs, synced tabs, cards, links, these asides, which are great for calling out specific bits of information. They have code. They have a code embed that you can use, which also allows you to copy whatever's in that code to the clipboard, file trees, steps, which will be super useful when you're creating instructions for installing things, badges, and icons. We're definitely going to replace these icons, which Starlight thankfully gives you the flexibility to do. So you can actually customize all of the custom styles that they use in Starlight, and then you can also customize any of the components that they have out of the box. You can also create custom components and bring them into your page just like you would with any other regular Astro site that you're building, because it's built with Astro. So very powerful for a technically minded designer, especially if you're looking for a way to organize all of your variables and styles in a way that is congruent with how developers work with those styles. If you build out a legible and flexible documentation that's easy to maintain, then that relationship that you have with your developers goes from translating to speaking the same language. But let's take a look at the progress of my custom build. All of this is placeholder content. I really haven't spent any time on this here landing page. I even still have placeholder content that comes from when you import the template. Consider everything still a work in progress, but I have spent more time here on the actual styles page. Specifically, I've been focused on color, creating custom color components that don't come with Starlight to organize all of my color styles and properties. So let me break down the custom components that I've developed in order to create this here custom color palette. First, let's take a look at how I am organizing all of my color data. So I am pulling in all of my color data into this color.json file where I have the colors organized into themes such as saturated and desaturated colors that you can see here on these tabs, saturated and desaturated. And then I have the color variable name such as indigo, violet, and magenta, etc. And then all of the shades specific to those colors. So this one color data file contains all of the values needed to generate my entire color palette. Let's go to the color palette to see how this data is being pulled in. So first we're mapping over all of the color data to find which theme we're specifically targeting so that I can drop it into the appropriate tab. Then we're mapping over that theme and we're pulling those colors into the color swatch group. So we are pulling in all of those shades into this list here, and then those are mapped into the actual individual color swatches here. Let's just drill down the component tree. So now we have the color swatch group, which lives inside of a color palette and is that full row. And here we have a property just for pulling in the name. So that color name prop is pulling in just here. And then there are two strings on each side to help create the syntax for that variable. That is our color swatch group. So in the actual individual color swatch is where we have the most complexity. We are pulling in 3 different props for color name, color shade, and color hex. So first let's take a look at the 2 simple props. So we have color shade and color hex. Color shade is a color and color hex is a string, and those are just pulling in the details for that color swatch here. That's the color shade, and this is the color hex. We can see that in our color data here, shade and hex. We are also using that color hex to create the actual background color for that swatch. And then we are combining the color shade and color name, which we're pulling in from the color swatch group, to create the actual variable that's copied to your clipboard when the user clicks on a swatch. And we can see that functionality here in the code. So when the user clicks onto that swatch, we are copying the variable value from data variable. And we have data variable, and this is the value of that data variable. Then we also trigger a success message that shows that the user has copied that value to the clipboard, and we can see that the variable is copied here. We have a full color palette that is pulled in dynamically from a JSON file, where all of these colors can be updated in one place, and you don't have to worry about managing any of the components on the actual page. So all of this is functioning. Now let's take a look at the actual page and see how this is being pulled in. So this is coming from Starlight. It is a markdown style MDX file where we can also bring in other components. And here we're using native tabs component. So inside of that native Starlight component for tabs here, we have our beautiful custom color palette component, and that is pulling in a property for the theme here, saturated. Very beautiful, very dynamic. Try to remove as many of the steps that I have to repeat when I'm creating something like this as possible, and it's working fluidly. Now, having a library like this is perfect for creating all of your primitive color tokens, which are like your declared hex, RGBA, OKLCH values that create that first step of aliasing into a variable, like for your shades and for your color here. But when you're actually building out a product like a website or an app, then you probably want to go through one more stage of theming with semantic variables. So a semantic variable is specific to a certain element like text or background or an icon or borders. So these are ways to create semantic utility style variables specific to a type of element. If you have all of your primitive tokens defined at a global level, then you can do something really cool, which is using those global tokens to create your semantic tokens. And then that makes it much easier when you're creating different modes like for light and dark. So here we have one beautiful cohesive color system organized with a custom component that we created in a design system that we have 100% control over how it is built. Starlight is awesome. Astro is awesome. It has made something that is a monotonous process actually enjoyable, and I am excited and motivated to organize the system for all of the different types of work that I do. So that is a rundown of Astro, Starlight, and my current progress on creating my own custom documentation system. I hope that was helpful. I am about to kind of do the same thing and show this to Rebecca in my call that's coming up. But for the next week or so, I do need to be heads down in Figma on my design work. So I'm going to have to put this on pause and shelf it for another time. Unfortunately, I know I'm very motivated to be working on this, but you know, priorities. Let's just wrap up the rest of the small tasks that I have. I need to send off one more thing to my developers before I can close out for the day. And then we have a meeting with Rebecca to talk about the web animation tool and our process of how we are going to be building it together. All done. Yeah, other than that, just doing normal work stuff. I'm about to start picking up on a project I have for like the next 2 weeks. So I'm not going to be, you know, probably as available for working on other stuff. But I did make some good progress this week on some shit. Let me share what I have going on. But that's everything on mine.
Cool. Sorry, you're getting low energy me today.
Am I completely fine? I assumed you're having a busy week. I'm surprised I even caught you.
Yeah. Okay. So next couple of weeks, your output's going to be a little bit more diminished, but it would be good for me to know what are the pieces that you are like tentatively thinking you'll tackle in case I'm going to get bored because I'm on double vacations. So like what pieces are you looking at so that I don't step on those pieces?
Yeah, I am going to, I'm going to be focusing, since I'm going to be switching over to like design heavy Figma work for corporate stuff. I'm probably going to do the same for this project. So I'm going to get Figma organized for us, go back to like just feature design. Also, so then I can organize those styles using this new doc. And I'm going to spin up a new doc, a new version of the Starlight docs for us to use and leverage on that.
Okay.
So that's all, already defined for us so we can work a little bit quicker. But I'm going to be focused on like that, like more of the operation side than the actual build right now, if anything.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. In that case, I'll start by just getting the Next.js project is synced and it's out there, right?
No, it's not synced.
Yeah.
It's not synced. Yeah, I'll sync it up.
Okay, just tag me when you get it up there. I'll do the poll and I'll start poking around. And you said you wanted to do custom CSS as opposed to like pulling a Tailwind and customizing. Okay.
Yeah, I started using like little modules for it, but what I have up there now is like nothing is probably going to end up being used, but I just started spinning stuff up just to play around with Next a little bit, the component structure. So I will
Cool. So I'll just scope it out.
clean it up and push it.
Great. Okay. I'm gonna go back.
All right. Safe
Till
travels.
next time. Thank you, sir.
Later.
And
Okay, so in a case of the most meta shit ever, I am currently editing myself. This is the video for the week that you're currently watching. I filmed this yesterday and I am editing it today. We are on top of our stuff. For a long time earlier in my career, I was splitting my work about 50-50 between, visual heavy design work and editing, and they really went hand in hand. I grew up skating, so part of that culture, you're always out in the streets filming things, and I had already developed that skill set. I knew how to work a camera. I knew how to throw some footage into an editing program and put something together. And I think developing the video side of my skill set early on in my career actually really helped open up opportunities for me currently. For my corporate work, I actually got to direct a few employee lifestyle culture videos and like cinematic interview style videos. So it definitely doesn't hurt to open up the breadth of your abilities outside of just, your domain of design and development. Since I haven't been committed to this professionally in the past few years, I definitely have some room to grow in terms of my familiarity with the editing suite. Speaking of editing suites, I switched over when I got the FX3 and I started doing more color grading to DaVinci Resolve finally. I had been an Adobe Premiere and After Effects guy forever, and I love DaVinci Resolve. It is so streamlined. Everything that you need to do is all in one. I have still opened up After Effects here and there because I haven't gotten into like the compositing side of using After Effects, but I'm sure that I'll be jumping into Fusion sooner than later so I can drop the Adobe suite altogether and be using DaVinci Resolve exclusively. Today, I actually took advantage of one of the newer features from DaVinci Resolve, and that is editing by transcript. Let me actually show you that real quick because it definitely has significantly improved my workflow, and maybe it will help you out too. So first, I just removed all silent portions. DaVinci Resolve automatically creates these little ellipses where you have an extended period of silence, and if you click remove silent portions, then it strikes all of those silent portions out for you automatically. And then I went through and I played through the clip fully, and I selected pieces and deleted them when I didn't want to use that section of the clip. Then I just copied all of it and I clicked append, and it dropped all of those clips directly into the project. Then I went through the project and I cleaned it up a little bit more, and I turned them all into a compound clip, and now I can work with it all as one piece and cut and color. Yeah, so I'm really happy with that feature. I feel like it's really going to speed up my workflow, and I'm also really excited just to be consistently working in an editing program again. I really love crafting these stories, and as soon as you drop some audio onto a clip, it really makes these things come to life, and it's been really motivating me to want to work on these videos. Awesome. So that's what I have been working on tonight, cracking into this video. I know that this process is going to get a lot faster for me as well. The first video is going to be the longest because I don't have any of these workflows developed yet. But as I keep going, then I'm going to probably even have more of a templated feel of how clips are going to be slotting into the story throughout the week. So definitely taking up a little bit more energy, but it's also motivating me. It's just something fun and different from the other design and development work that I've been heavy into the past few weeks. That's all. I am going to go clean the kitchen and then wrap up and go to bed, but thanks for the hangs tonight. We definitely got a little loose last night. Baby girl woke up at 2:30 in the morning just to say hi, so that's exciting. Ooh, a little tired today, but nothing that a little coffee can't help with. So generally, my partner, Blair, she will get up with our daughter in the mornings on the weekdays, and then on the weekends I will get up with her. But if our daughter wakes up screaming in the middle of the night, then I'm a night owl, so that usually falls into my territory. So last night, just a quick one. Just a little, hey, how you doing, and a bottle of milk, and she's back down. Oh my gosh. Distress Tenny. Let me cover you up, dude. Whoa, dude. Full body shot. What's up with that? That's weird, huh? Yeah, that's weird, huh? Okay, there we go. Much better. We're real loose right now, so we need to get things back on track. I didn't even write anything down in my notebook yesterday. Things were squirrely. I'm going to do my best to remove the amount of extra work that my brain has to do today, so I'm going to start off with some good project planning. Let's get all of the tasks and items I have in my head out of there. Oh, hey, look, there's something. Hello.
Look. Do you want to eat some snacks? Maybe Dada can
What do you
get
want?
some
What would you
oranges.
like, Bubs? You want some oranges?
Yeah.
Done deal. Let's talk about inspiration. I am exhausted right now. I have some work that I have to do this morning that I'm not particularly motivated about. So I'm somebody who, when they're inspired, can focus very intently. I can focus for extended periods of time, and I can just really dive deep into something if I am learning something new or just like feeling inspired, like I am with Astro right now. But when I am not inspired by something, it's something that I have to do, it becomes really challenging for me to find that same level of focus and commitment. I'm really great at the first 80% of the project, but the last 20%, while I can get things to completion, is definitely a bigger challenge. And that's where my procrastination starts flaring up, and I have to like actually be intentional about, committing to the things that I'm obligated to. So that's the stage that I'm at right now. There's a prototype that I built out recently, and since I did it in code, I actually need to go back through and pull that file and pull those designs into Figma so that the developers, when they build it out to production, actually have something to reference. I know that seems really redundant, but that's just, some of the old legacy workflow things that haven't been updated to our new process of the designers taking over more of the front end. So it's redundant work. It doesn't feel as valuable as the developers actually referencing the prototype that I built, and therefore is not particularly motivating. I'm also really in developer brain right now, so switching over to design is not particularly interesting, but I get paid to work in Figma. All of the coding is extra credit. That has not caught up to the divine responsibilities of my role currently, but I'm sure as I keep delivering code that's being used in production, these roles and responsibilities in my department will be updated. Okay, I need to do a little tripod surgery on this bad boy. I really despise when you have like a little attachment like this and there's not two attachment points. There's just a single attachment point. It just, things spin off if you're screwing something into it and having it locked down. It's going to spin. Much better. So when I am in a position like this where I am tired and I'm unmotivated and uninspired, I like to do a little bit of brain maintenance. So that includes getting as many of the low priority things off of my plate, getting all of the tasks that are kicking around in my brain that when I'm tired, I start running through and going through the list of like, oh, I have to do all this today. I have to do all this today. I try to get all of that out of my head. And so I have two ways of organizing my tasks currently. I have linear, which I just adopted and I'm absolutely loving. That is more of a granular, I have a lot of issues ticketed specific to projects, and then those are grouped specific to the type of work that I'm doing, be it corporate work, personal work, or PopMelt work. And then I have this right here. So this is my little Fields Note notebook. Let me actually pop this off and show you. So when I started filming a month ago, I also started keeping a notebook of all of my little daily tasks, and I have been keeping up with it almost every single day. But you know, as the days go on, I'm a little bit less excited about it, and then on other days I have days where I'm writing more again. But I've also seen myself develop two different systems in this notebook. One, I just started off writing all of my weekly tasks and trying to be as unprecious as possible with the kind of notes that I needed to keep for the tasks that I was keeping up with. And I put everything into this. This is before I was using linear. But since I've switched to linear, I've seen myself just using this more for themes instead of tasks. So tasks are kept in linear. Those are things that I have to actually take action on. And then themes are just things that I read throughout the day, things that I read or I hear on a YouTube video or in a podcast, and I'm inspired by it. So I want to jot it down so that I can reference it later. And that might spark something in a script, something that I have to share with you, or it might actually just be like a utility tip of how to use one of the tools that I have more efficiently. That's what this notebook has become. And I've noticed that on days where I'm not keeping up with it, I feel the effects of myself kind of keeping too much in my brain. So very useful. I also got this little thing I keep showing you, but it's got this little thing. It's awesome. It is a Pocket Master Pacific Art little contractor tool. But yeah, so that's when you see the mic clip to it. I keep it with me almost all of the time. It's like always nearby just so I could jot something down. And then of course I have my phone where if I can't get to this, then I'll throw something in my phone and I will jot it down later. Sometimes I'm not the best about keeping up with that, so I have a drafts in my phone that's also for more disposable style notes. And so that is the maintenance cleanup side of brain maintenance, but then there is also the inspiration gathering side where you are trying to refill your motivation and inspiration levels. And I will show you a little tool that I use to do that. Muzzly is a new tab browser extension that is an aggregate for all of the major design resources that I already use. You just come to this website, install this in your Chrome browser, and then set it so that when you open up a new tab, you are hit with an aggregate of inspiration from all of your favorite sources. In this tab here, Our Picks, Muzzly does a great job of curating a hand-picked selection of all of the different resources. I feel like once you discover Muzzly, you are going to see these things that are posted here in one place all throughout the web. You know, you'll see them on Instagram, you'll see them repost on your favorite blogs, but this is just a perfect hub. So why not just come to one place to get them? So that's Muzzly, a very simple but powerful design tool that I use multiple times a day, every single day. Link in the description. It's free. You know, I don't get anything out of telling you about it other than the satisfaction of knowing that I put you onto something good. If you have a similar resource, go ahead and drop a comment for that. I would love to check it out. In the meantime, I need to just knock out this task that is taking up an outsized amount of brain space, so I'm going to do that right now. I have my weekly internal meeting and I want to be able to hand it off to that to get it off of my plate. So let's just get to it. Our brain today, dude. wow, our brain today. I just recorded that first out of focus, and then recorded again and realized I didn't plug my mic in. That is what happens when your brain is unhealthy. I need some food right now. I'm going to go eat lunch. But first, it is so refreshing to have that meeting knocked out. I have one small task. I need to do a little bit of QA work on that project that has been expedited. But outside of that, I am heads down in Figma doing design work for the next week and a half. So the rest of the day is probably going to be focused on getting my brain switched over from developer mode back into design mode. And I think I have the perfect task for that. I need to update some style variables in Figma, and I'm going to just do that in Figma. I'm not going to touch the code anymore so that I can stay focused, but that will also put me in a good place next time I do open up the code for my documentation project, because I will have all of the data that I need to create a custom font component, which is one of the tickets that I have open in Linear. Wow, my brain is tired. The day is turning around though. I am feeling a little bit refreshed from having that ticket, from having that project, from having that task knocked out this morning. Let's go eat something. Maybe that'll be the pick-me-up that I need to really get this day turned around. All right. So the 3 a.m. wake-up call last night really got to me, and I ended up needing to take a nap after work. I edited the video a little bit, but I didn't really get around to any of the other tasks that I wanted to knock out on the web animation tool. I need to name the web animation tool so I can stop calling it this, but maybe I will make that more of a priority. It's late. Today started off a little squirrely, but I feel like we got things back under control at least, and tomorrow will be much more productive. I'm not sure if that task earlier got my brain switched all the way over into design mode, so I'm definitely going to do a little bit of inspiration gathering in the morning time. One more thing. Figma released new features at Config today, so we are going to go over those in the morning. But other than that, let's wrap this up, and I'm going to go crash. Hi, dude.
Do you have a meeting?
Right now, no. I have to focus on some design work, though, before you leave.
Me too. I'm focusing on design work.
I can see that. Looks great.
Okay, this is such a waste of time.
This?
Saving these magnets.
No, it looks great.
I mean, they're cooler than plastic ones.
Definitely, the wood is nice.
But, I mean, this has been a lot of trouble.
You got it, dude.
HOJKLM.
Because I just had some coffee. Are you done with this? Why? It's not even doing anything to you. What's wrong with you?
Why are you having me mic'd up?
Just because we were having a little conversation
Do you
while our daughter's
want me to
asleep.
put this?
Are you going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yes. All right, vibes are way higher today. I have been heads down in design work all day, but I've also had Figma config in the background, and I picked up on their new features, and I've already done a little bit of a review of them, threw them into a little S tier list template, and we are going to rank the features on whether or not they are actually useful for us at all. You know, it wasn't long ago that we were designing everything in Photoshop, including websites and UI, and Adobe had this stranglehold monopoly over the creative industry with Creative Suite. But very quickly, things changed. I mean, they reigned for 20 plus years straight, and then along came Sketch, and then along came Figma to push Sketch out. And we've seen this really sudden Game of Thrones-esque story play out between all of these tools. I mean, Adobe tried to acquire Figma this year for $20 billion, and that deal fell through after they killed Adobe XD. So what are they going to do to compete now? Sketch? Who's using Sketch these days? Thank you for all that you did, but you weren't able to keep up. RIP to InVision, which if Sketch and InVision were one company and all of those features existed in one toolset, maybe they would be able to compete with Figma. But alas, they weren't. And while Sketch isn't completely dead, I'm sure a lot of companies still use it. Figma is now the industry standard for doing any UI UX product related design work. And while they are not going anywhere anytime soon, we are finally starting to see cracks form. So just to completely catch you up, the Adobe deal really left a sour taste for a lot of the core user base of Figma. Us designers have a very contentious relationship with Adobe, where it's something that we have had to use, but there hasn't been a very good balance with Adobe supporting their users and updating their products rather than just holding on to the large share of the industry that they had. And now it feels like Figma is moving into that category of company where they are prioritizing their shareholders' profits over the features that their core user base actually needs. And with that introduces new pricing tiers such as Dev Mode and Figma AI. Dev Mode was a public flop. The first major release post the Adobe deal falling through, and while it may have generated revenue for them, it did confirm to us, their core user base, that they are now focused on updating their shareholders' pockets rather than providing us with a tool that is the most useful tool possible. And now we're seeing another major set of features being released to put it kindly, lackluster response. And it's not just the big AI boogeyman taking your job away. That's not something that I'm particularly worried about. We can get into that conversation in the future, but it's a matter of a company prioritizing key buzzwords rather than a polished product. Is that too brutal? I don't know. Is this too blunt? Potentially. I feel like when I do have these strong criticisms like I currently have towards Figma, I have to also just remember that these are product designers like you and me working on these tools. It's a giant organization at this point with so many different levels of priorities, and I bet everyone there genuinely is trying to make the best tool possible. But as somebody who has to use this tool for their job, I would rather be honest about what we actually need as designers. I'm glad that there's so much conversation going on so that hopefully the needs of the industry as a whole can rise to the top of that backlog and get pushed on the next round of updates. But for now, let's jump into this tier list and rank the latest features from Figma Config. Okay. Cool little video. Music is vibes. Let's see this. I've already pulled in all of the key features here, and then I've got the categories here on the side, so we will just drop them in as we go. I haven't actually gotten to use any of these features, of course. This presentation was just yesterday, so this current ranking is just based on the very quick previews of the features, and it will actually be fun to go back through after all of the features are launched and see where they stack up on the tier list after getting to actually use them. So let's jump into the first one, Figma AI Search with a Visual. I've already run through all of the features once, so I do have an overview of the preview links that they've shared, but let's see what they have. Searching with Visual, at first, just like with all of the AI features, I wasn't particularly excited for this to roll out within Figma itself. I'm not really particularly excited about like the generation of mockups and these kind of things for me. I always use the latest AI features that I see roll out just so that I can be familiar with them, but I haven't had too many of them actually stick within my workflow, especially specific to design work. But this is cool and could potentially be useful. So while I create most of the components and I'm very familiar with where they live and what projects they belong to, a lot of junior designers are just pulling from pieces and playing with them like Legos. So I think this is really going to cut down on a lot of components being rebuilt that already exist, and I'm definitely going to welcome that. Visual search, while initially seemed a little bit underwhelming, in practice here, it could actually be pretty useful for a specific demographic of designers. So I'm going to actually take this and bump it into... So actually this one's really great to rank with because it probably falls right into one of these middle categories here, moderate improvement. It's not something that I'm going to use myself, but it is something that I could see people actually using. It's not going to just be another feature that falls into obscurity. Figma AI generate first drafts in seconds. And so another AI related feature, we'll get all of these out of the way first. So in a pretty familiar UI, you will be able to access the AI and prompt it to do actions for you. So you can make a design, make prototypes, or rename layers. Let's focus first on making a design or generating designs and layouts. This is one of the AI features that I'm going to try out when it rolls out, but I don't imagine will become something that I use daily. I will welcome any of these features that help reduce the monotony of the early stages of design, but it feels like something that could potentially help speed up my workflow. I don't think, at least for the senior levels of design, we're going to be as dramatically affected by this style of AI generation as we expect. If you build digital products for people, you know how non-technical a large swath of these organizations are. You're still using Figma. So how many of your teammates who aren't designers are actually using Figma today? Not a lot of them. They're only checking products, opening links. They're not actually getting in and manipulating any of the designs. So this level of AI automation currently within the tool is still very much for you, the designer, to take advantage of and make your process more efficient. We could definitely get into the broader conversation of how AI is going to affect the industry in the future, but specific to these tools, I don't see anything as terrifying as the forums on Reddit would lead you to believe. So let's throw this. AI generate first drafts in seconds. Not personally going to use, but it is undoubtedly a notable enhancement. Figma AI wire up a prototype instantly. This is something that I am a little bit more excited for. I am definitely going to use. It looks like it works the same way where you're just prompting the AI to take an action for you. If you are building an intuitive product, then it makes sense that AI would be able to connect it for you. So I welcome this feature. I can't wait to actually play with it. I'm going to immediately set up a navigation, throw it on a few pages, and see if it links it up for us. So we will re-rank it later based on how it actually works. But for now, we are going to throw it into I'm going to put it up here. It could really reduce a lot of effort for people. Renaming layers automatically. We're going to throw that up there too. This is what I want to use AI for already. This is how I want to integrate it into my product. I'm throwing that in Premiere upgrades. Redesign Figma editor. Okay, controversial for sure. So this one is completely opinion-based. I've noticed that they're doing a great rollout of these UI updates, so I know that they're going to be fairly significant. There is a video that I haven't gotten to watch yet today, but it looks like it's from the design team where they're explaining a lot of these changes. But for now, you can just reference this blog that they have available. And the key idea is to open up the canvas to have more space for what you're actually working on, and the panels on the side and the top feel less restrictive. I know I bounce back and forth between showing and hiding my panels all day long, so I'm excited to see how this actually feels in practice. But I have also been using the Figma UI as a reference for the web animation tool that I've been working on. Since it's a tool for designers and developers, I wanted to base it on a tool that we're all using every day. So I can imagine I'm going to steal quite a bit from these latest changes. All right, so the only thing that sticks out to me currently is moving this navigation from the top to the bottom. It feels like that is something that belongs on a mobile device. And when I'm on a desktop, the way that you work on a laptop on our desktop when you're working in Figma, I definitely would expect those actions to be at the top, but I'm not going to judge it too harshly at all until I actually get to play around with it. Of course, making these kind of changes this drastic to a tool that you're using every day is going to come with a bit of a learning curve, but you'll pick it up in no time and you'll forget that the old version of Figma even existed. And then in a few months, it will look like a dated tool. Nice. We welcome this. Thanks. Premiere upgrade. We're being nice. We're being cool. Dev mode. Oh man, I spoke too soon. Dev mode. There's so much that you want from dev mode. I remember early on, I was an early Sketch adopter. I was an early Figma adopter. And the thing that pulled me away from Sketch and into Figma in the first place was the ability to create those reusable components. Sketch followed up with symbols. They were kind of going back and forth, but I had already made the transition to Figma and noticed that Figma was catering to a web designer, product designer user base. More so than Sketch, which had such broad appeal at that time as just a general business tool that we use for making websites. And dev mode is an area that had so many features that didn't exist before, where designers were finally able to see their designs and the code and the language that the developers speak at the same time, and reference when they make changes what that looks like in the code that the developers are using. It is the most broad instance of a development teaching tool for designers. And unfortunately, the latest changes that they rolled out have not been in the interest of serving the actual needs of that relationship between designers and developers so much as trying to squeeze a little bit more money out of the organizations that they're already charging. So let's look at these latest updates. I already know what they are. I find it a little bit humorous because the latest updates are the ability to update your status. Thanks. Code Connect. Code Connect is something that I am actually very excited for. Unfortunately, we can't put it into Legendary Innovations yet because I Or can we? I'm going to put it under, you know what it is right now? Right now, it is just a notable enhancement. Well, where do I actually put this one? You know, I'm going to put it up here. I'm going to do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's be a little controversial on this one. Code Connect, let's throw it into legendary innovations. When I actually implement this, we might feel a completely different way about it. But as of right now, as somebody who is preaching on marrying that relationship between designers and developers so that they are speaking the same language, I think that this could potentially be a feature that helps us do that. And we'll have to see how the maintainability of it actually holds up after you add it into your design workflow. But I am excited to try it out. It is a way that the code is referenced in your code base and in your design work at the same time. That is exactly what we have been preaching about. So let's encourage it. Can't wait to try it. And this has a lot of potential to really tie in nicely to that data between Figma and your documentation system. Then that is a beautiful, seamless automated system. Moving on, Figma Slides. You know, for us designers, this may not be as notable of an enhancement, but I am actually going to advocate for using this on my team. It definitely falls into that category of them trying to pump a little bit more money out of the product. What are they charging for it? Free and open beta, but it will be available on free and paid plans starting at $3 and $5 per user per month. So they are creating another tiered pricing. And I think one of the most controversial things about Figma has been their transparency around pricing. If you are an admin over a team or an organization, then you have probably had people accidentally pop into one of your teams and become a paid user on accident, which is wild that there would just be a new paid user showed up on your account that you are being charged for. But that is something that has happened to us. And from what I've read, we're not the only ones. I imagine that is happening much less these days, but that opaque pricing is understandably controversial. And I think adding more levels of individual priced features between dev mode and Figma Slides and that other thing that I never use, FigJam, it doesn't help solve that problem around one of the things that's most controversial about the product. So don't love the pricing tier of it, but don't hate the feature, and we'll probably encourage using it on my team for our project managers. Let's dump it into a notable enhancement. Auto layout. Auto layout and prototyping for any screen. These could potentially be grouped together. Auto layout is great. I wish that it was more of a one-to-one to how CSS Grid and Flexbox actually work, but it's getting closer and closer. So we encourage that. Let's bump that into a Premiere upgrade and prototyping for any screen. So this is the area of the tool that I have been hoping would be improved for the longest time. Auto layout has definitely improved your ability as a designer to account for the responsive device sizes, but when you send those designs off to people, they are still viewing them in a fixed screen. And so if you design that for a laptop size, then they can scale that image, then they can scale that design, but you're not seeing those designs scale responsively as you would see in an actual browser on your display. This should finally help solve that issue. So prototyping for any screen, you can now preview when you are viewing those pop-out prototypes. And I believe that when you are in presentation mode, it is also available now. Let's double check. Yes, responsive. Excited to try this. I really hope that it works in a way that I can send a link off to one of our business units that doesn't use Figma, and they will be able to see in browser the auto layout responding just like it would in the actual tool. Let's bump this to, no, I'm going to put this actually into legendary innovations because I've been waiting for a feature like this for a very long time. UI kit. I'm not even going to talk about it. That's how underwhelming it is. All right, so that's our tier list of the latest features from Config 2024. Let's run through them one more time. We have very controversially Code Connect up in Legendary Innovation, but if it does end up being something that is as useful as it has the potential for, then I do not feel silly for putting it in that category. Prototyping for any screen, that's another feature that I would have liked to have seen so long ago that it has to be in Legendary Innovations because the need for it is so old at this point. So under Premiere upgrades, we have wiring up a prototype instantly. I could see myself using that. I can't wait to test it on a nav bar or nav menu. Another AI feature, renaming layers automatically. I didn't expect to actually have any AI features this high. So renaming layers automatically, maybe something small, but also something that I could see myself using daily. Redesigned Figma editor. I welcome some visual changes. I like a pretty UI. I'm not mad at them for making changes, and I'm not going to hate on a little bit of a learning curve for a tool that I use every single day. Auto layout's already in a good place, so hopefully these changes just bring it closer to being a one-to-one for Flexbox. Generate first drafts in seconds. Not particularly excited about this level of AI implementation, but I'm also not afraid of it. And I don't want to be dismissive. It to me is a notable enhancement. It's not something small. Figma slides. You may not use it, but somebody on your team probably will. Visual search. Again, you may not use it, but somebody on your team probably will. Somebody probably junior than you. And that junior designer using it will probably make your life easier. Let's go. Okay, in the final category, dev mode and UI kit. Dev mode rounds out another set of feature announcements falling into the underwhelming additions category, and UI kits are so boring that I don't even need to talk about them. All right, so those are all the latest changes for Config 2024. Not as controversial as we were imagining from the uproar online, and a few things that we will probably find ourselves using every day. Welcome the change of the new visual UI layout, and not really hating on any features that I don't intend to use anyway. It'll probably help somebody else on my team. Let's wrap up this day, go eat dinner, and hang out with the fam. Peace. All right, working on the edit tonight and feeling good about how things are coming along. I realized that this week's video is about me starting a vlog. I was kind of feeling bad that I didn't have enough energy to be working on the animation tool, and then I realized, oh, it's because I'm editing this video right here. And so there are definitely some changes that I want to make to help make this more sustainable over time. So next week is probably going to be cut way down. There's a lot less explaining to do since I've already created the introduction video, and that will be more focused on the design and development side of things. I've also realized during the edit that while a lot of the work that I do does go live to public websites, I want to be careful about what I divulge with my corporate work, so I'm not going to be showing as much of the design work on that side of things, at least until certain aspects of my projects are published live, and then we'll reconsider what we show. But I can definitely offset that with the amount of side projects that I work on. So I will be showing actual design work and development work, but probably not in the context of the corporate projects directly. I'm definitely still going to talk about that. It's a large part of my life, but I will show it more abstractly. Other fun questions. Do I wear the same thing every day? Yes, I am constantly looking for the perfect version of everything that I use. So I am always on the hunt for a perfect t-shirt. I'm always on the hunt for a perfect pair of shorts. And when I find something that I like, I tend to stick to that thing. Do I care about making money from doing this? That's fun. Yeah, I want to make some money, but no, I make great money with my job and I love my work. I don't really want to have to rely on this for any form of income, but having a kid that's going to have to go to Montessori in the next few months, of course, I would like to generate more views to make money, I guess. But that's not the core or soul of why I am doing this. I feel like this is going to help me develop better habits and become more of the person that I envision myself being. It's a level of accountability to make sure that I'm staying on track and doing the things that I have committed to doing. It's more for me than it is for whoever is watching this, if anyone is watching this. I also realized when I was filming for the past month that the person that I'm talking to when I'm recording these videos are my closest friends. They are the people that I connect with over the things that we love, like technology and design and video. That's who I am essentially making this for. So if me and my friends like it, maybe somebody else will as well. Why am I recording into this microphone when I have another microphone right next to me? I am using this microphone because it is wireless and I can take it wherever I want to go. So even though this one is more expensive and sounds much better, it is not built into the process that I'm developing of being able to pick up my camera and start talking whenever I need to as quickly as possible. So it's Thursday, and while this week is coming to conclusion and this experiment is coming to an end, I've definitely learned a lot. I'll do more of a wrap up tomorrow, I guess, but there's already so much that I know that I want to change up for next week's video. So hopefully next week, when I implement the things that I've learned from this week, it will lower the priority that editing these videos is taking up in my nights. But let's wrap this up. Feeling grateful that we got to get out and ride the bikes today. It wasn't too hot. Work went well. Tomorrow is Friday, and this is coming to a conclusion soon. So we'll see if I continue doing it. I think so. If you're seeing this, then I'm probably going to continue doing it more. Cut the weird meta I'm editing myself segment. Good night. So blah 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 blah. I'm Bo Burnham. Blah 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 blah. This is crazy, dude. I think that's a sign it's time to go to sleep, dude. Doesn't have to be perfect. What do we have going on today? A little bit more. All right, it's Friday. Fridays, I don't ever have any meetings. It's really, really rare that I would have a Friday meeting. So in general, let me double check that out. Okay. I'm giving you guys crotch shots all week, dude. Okay. All right, it is Friday, which means that we are coming to the conclusion of this week's recording of vlogs, I guess. It would be really rare if I had a meeting on Friday. We generally like to keep those as open working days for us to focus on things that we need to wrap up that we didn't get to take care of during the week. So generally, I will keep it as a day for tidying up. And if I don't have too much work on the tidying up side of things, I try to keep it relatively creative or just open time for me to work on whatever I am motivated by that is still, being productive on the corporate side of things. But since I have a presentation coming up in a week, I wanted to dedicate a little bit more time to the design work that I have going on. When you started watching this, I didn't have an idea of what the tone was really going to be as I edited this up, but I'm really happy with how the tone is coming along currently. It's really long form right now. I'm sure it will be shorter, but probably not by much when it's actually posted. And the vibe is just, really long form work with me style. Next week will be significantly shorter as I don't have as much exposition of explaining who I am and what I'm doing. But this week, I'm not mad at the long length. Let's just continue towards our goal of getting something published and getting this channel started. So yeah, that's wild if you actually watch this video for that long.